and welcome to Sabha TV. My name is Aditi Nagpal Girotra and you're watching News Tonight, where we bring you news updates from India and around the world. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Rashtray Swachita Kendra in New Delhi on Saturday. The Swachita Kendra is aimed at being an interactive experience on the Swachh Bharat mission.
Giving the slogan of Gandagi Bharat Chodo, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced a week-long campaign from 8th to 15th August to free India of garbage. Introducing the Rashtriya Swachita Kendra, the Prime Minister said the Swachh Bharat mission has increased the self-confidence of every Indian and its impact is visible on the life of the poor of the country. He said the cleanliness drive has helped greatly in the fight against coronavirus. The Prime Minister, who interacted with 36 school students representing the 36 states and union territories, said children are contributing to the fight against coronavirus through the cleanliness drive.
कोई भी यहाँ आएगा तो उसको जरूर एक नया अनुभव होगा, आपको भी अच्छा लगा। लेकिन मुझे खुशी हुई कि आपने टेक्नोलॉजी का कमाल भी देख लिया। अब आप बताइए, हाँ।
जय हिंद सर, मेरा नाम पॉल कायलसांग है।
कहाँ से हैं?
सर मैं मणिपुर से 10वीं कक्षा का छात्र हूँ। मुझे वीडियो गेम्स खेलना बहुत पसंद है।
अच्छा।
इसलिए मुझे स्वच्छता गेम्स खेलने में सबसे ज़्यादा मज़ा आया।
तो आप वैसे समय कितना लगा देते हैं वीडियो गेम में?
तो मैं वीडियो गेम्स खेलने में मज़ा जो आता है, इसलिए
तो घर के सब लोग नाराज हो जाते होंगे आपसे?
हो जाते हैं कभी-कभी।
The Prime Minister announced the Rashtriya Swachhta Kendra first on April 10, 2017 on the occasion of the centenary celebrations of Gandhiji's Champaran Satyagraha. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
18 people, including the pilot and co-pilot, died in Friday's Air India Express plane crash in Kozhikode. Around 100 people suffered injuries when the flight from Dubai skidded in heavy rain off the tabletop runway. The aircraft had 191 people on board when it broke into two after falling into a valley.
Hours after an Air India Express plane crashed in Kozhikode, Union Civil Aviation Minister Hardeep Singh Puri and Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan reached the crash site. The Civil Aviation Minister said the plane skidded off the runway at the tabletop airport due to heavy rainfall.
के वेदर कंडीशन जो है मानसून के कारण अनफेवरेबल थे, जो लगता है कि पायलट ने इस फ्लाइट को, क्योंकि ये टेबल टॉप एयरपोर्ट है, रनवे के आखिर तक रोकने की कोशिश की, पर वो स्लिपरी कंडीशंस के कारण ये मिसहैप हुआ और 35 फीट की वहां ड्रॉप है।
The Union Minister announced an interim relief of 10 lakh rupees for the family members of each of the deceased, 2 lakh rupees for the seriously injured and 50,000 rupees for those with minor injuries. Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan also announced a relief of 10 lakh rupees for the deceased. He praised the quick response of the local residents and officials in quickly reaching the crash site despite bad weather. 2 relief flights arrived from Delhi and Mumbai to render assistance to passengers and their family members. Black boxes of the ill-fated flight were recovered and investigations into the mishap are underway.
सब तरह का मदद और सरकार की सभी तरह का जो रिलीफ ऑपरेशंस के लिए भारत सरकार सब तरह का मदद करेंगे, ये उन्होंने कहा है। वहाँ एयरपोर्ट के लोगों के साथ और बाकी स्थानीय अधिकारियों के साथ मेरा फोन पर कोऑर्डिनेशन चल रहा है।
President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed grief over the incident. Several union ministers, political leaders and celebrities also offered their condolences. Friday's plane crash at Kozhikode is the first major accident since the 2010 crash at Mangaluru Airport, which also has a tabletop runway. Tabletop runways are constructed by chopping off hilltops. Landings have to be precise as the runway does not have extra length to compensate for high speed. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
COVID-19 cases neared 21 lakh in India after over 60,000 cases were reported in the last 24 hours for the second straight day. Friday is the 10th consecutive day that COVID-19 cases have increased by more than 50,000.
India's COVID-19 infections crossed 20.88 lakh on Friday, with 61,537 cases being reported in a day. While recoveries crossed 14 lakh, active cases are over 6.19 lakh. The recovery rate has gone up to 68.32%. 933 deaths were reported in the last 24 hours, taking the total death toll to 42,518. India has tested over 2.33 crore samples so far, including 5.98 lakh samples on Friday. In the last 24 hours, the highest number of cases were reported from 5 states: Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu and Uttar Pradesh. These 5 states also recorded the highest number of COVID-19 linked deaths during this period. The first week of August has seen an increase of over 3.92 lakh cases, out of which 3.32 lakh patients have recovered. 6,000 people have succumbed to the disease during this period, while over 40 lakh samples have been tested. The 10 states with the biggest COVID-19 caseload in India are Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, West Bengal, Telangana, Bihar and Gujarat. While new infections are rising at a steady pace, the growth in the total number of infected cases has been on the decline again for the last 10 days. The growth of active cases is also declining. Gujarat, Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Meghalaya, Sikkim, Tamil Nadu and Tripura saw a downward trend in their active coronavirus cases in the last 24 hours. The Union Health Ministry advised 16 districts in 4 states reporting COVID-19 mortality above the national and states average to ramp up testing. The 16 districts are Ahmedabad and Surat in Gujarat, Belagavi, Bengaluru Urban, Kalaburgi and Udupi in Karnataka, Chennai, Kanchipuram, Ranipet, Theni, Thiruvallur, Tiruchirappalli, Tuticorin and Virudhunagar in Tamil Nadu, and Hyderabad and Medchal, Malkajgiri in Telangana. These districts account for 17% of the total active cases and are reporting high number of fresh cases daily. In terms of the total cases, India is the third most affected country after Brazil, which has over 2.9 million cases. The United States is the worst hit with 5 million cases. 2.04% infected people have died in India. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
The Home Ministry has relaxed flying restrictions for overseas citizen of India card holders, even as international travel continues to be banned. Take a look.
Centre has allowed overseas citizen of India or card holders from the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany and France to visit the country. Indian citizens can also be allowed to travel to these countries on any kind of visa. Other foreigners from these countries have also been allowed to avail Indian visas for business, medical and employment purposes. Meanwhile, the Indian Railway Catering and Tourism Corporation or the IRCTC has completed training over 1,500 officers and staff under COVID-19 awareness program. They have been trained to perform regular sanitization, check temperature of employees and maintain social distancing norms. The IRCTC recently introduced ready-to-eat meals in 200 special passenger trains run by the Indian Railways. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On a day when novel coronavirus cases crossed 19.5 million worldwide, Russia announced plans to register its experimental COVID-19 vaccine on 12th of August.
The vaccine is currently in final stage trials. Initial human trials showed positive results. The vaccine is jointly developed by Gamaleya Institute and the Russian Defense Ministry. In other developments, India's Serum Institute is collaborating with Gavi and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to accelerate production of coronavirus vaccines. The deal aims to manufacture up to 100 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines for India and other low and middle income countries. The company has set a ceiling price of $3 per dose. The Israel Institute is also set to start COVID-19 vaccine trials on humans as early as October. Currently, 23 vaccine candidates are under clinical evaluation. 6 are in phase 3 human trials, while 2 Indian vaccine candidates are in phase 2 trials. Meanwhile, coronavirus infections continue to spread across the world. North and South American regions together have 10 million cases. Europe comes next with nearly 3.6 million cases. COVID-19 cases across the African continent exceeded 1 million on Friday. Among countries, the United States tops the list with over 5.1 million cases. Brazil's COVID-19 cases are approaching 3 million and nearly 1 lakh deaths. Till Saturday, Mexico lost over 50,000 lives to COVID-19 infections that crossed 4.69 million. Cuba has reimposed quarantine measures following a spike in new cases. The measures include restrictions on restaurants and bars. Japan had 1,601 new cases on Friday, 462 were from Tokyo. The country accounts for 46,000 cases and 1,062 deaths. Australia's Victoria state reported 466 cases on Saturday. However, the state has averted an exponential increase with strict lockdowns.
Certainly we're seeing some stabilisation in numbers. We've got 400 to 500 cases each day. That has been more or less the average for the last week. That's not good enough, but it is a positive that we've averted an exponential increase through the last couple of weeks.
On Saturday, New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern launched her re-election campaign, promising jobs and economic growth affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
India condemned Pakistan at a UN Security Council's high-level open debate over cross-border terrorism.
Its statement on addressing the issue of linkages between terrorism and organized crime, India told the United Nations Security Council that it has been a victim of terrorism sponsored from across border. The statement asserted that Dawood Ibrahim, the perpetrator of the 1993 Mumbai bomb blast, and other UN-designated terrorists continue to enjoy patronage in a neighboring country. India also called for focused global efforts to address threats posed by the fugitive gangster and terror groups Lashkar-e-Toiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. India also rejected China's interference in its internal matters when China tried to raise the Jammu and Kashmir issue with Pakistan on the first anniversary of the abrogation of Article 370.
Street vendors who don't have identity cards or certificate of vending will now be able to avail benefits under the PM Swanidhi scheme.
The centre on Friday launched the Letter of Recommendation module through which street vendors can get loans of up to 10,000 rupees. According to a statement, Union Housing and Urban Affairs Secretary Durga Shankar Mishra launched the facility and said that an eligible vendor can request for a letter of recommendation or LOR with an urban local body. Under the Pradhan Mantri Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi or PM Swanidhi scheme, vendors can avail a working capital loan of up to 10,000 rupees, which is repayable in monthly installments in the tenure of 1 year. He added that after getting the LOR, a vendor can apply for the loan under the scheme. According to the ministry, the LOR module is designed to give access to street vendors who do not have identity cards and certificates of vending and are not in the surveyed list for availing benefits under the scheme. The PM Swanidhi was launched by the Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry on June 1st. Since the commencement of online submission of loan applications on PM Swanidhi portal on July 2nd, more than 4.4 lakh applications have been received and over 82,000 have been sanctioned in different states and union territories. The scheme aims to benefit over 50 lakh street vendors who had been vending on or before March 24, 2020.
The government has approved construction of around 10.28 lakh houses under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, taking the total number of houses sanctioned under the scheme so far to 1.06 crore.
The decision was taken on Friday at a meeting of the Central Sanctioning and Monitoring Committee under PMAY Urban. The meeting was attended by representatives from 19 states and union territories. The Housing and Urban Affairs Ministry has asked states that by the end of this year, they should work towards achieving the target of constructing 60 lakh houses, while 80 lakh houses should be grounded for construction. According to the ministry, about 67 lakh houses are currently grounded for construction and more than 35 lakh have been completed and occupied so far. The total number of sanctioned houses under the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban is now 1.06 crore as against the validated demand of 1.12 crore.
The Reserve Bank of India has formed a 5-member panel led by veteran banker KV Kamath to recommend parameters for one-time restructuring of corporate loans.
RBI informed on Friday that Indian Banks Association CEO Sunil Mehta will be a secretary to the committee. An RBI release said the IBA will function as the secretariat to the panel and will be free to devise its procedures for internal functioning. The committee will formulate sector-specific resolution plans for all accounts with total loan exposure of 1,500 crore rupees and above. The committee will submit its recommendations to RBI in 30 days. The panel will function under the aegis of RBI and accordingly the expense of the panel and its secretariat will be fully borne by RBI. The composition of the panel may be expanded and other members may be added as and when necessary. The announcement comes a day after RBI Governor Shaktikant Das announced a loan restructuring window for corporates following demands from bankers and industry. Resolution under this window will be extended only to borrowers facing stress on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. The one-time restructuring window is available across sectors. The scheme was originally announced in January 2019 and then extended again in February 2020.
The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is all set to start new innings under Manoj Sinha, who took over as a new Lieutenant Governor on Friday. Sinha is the first political leader to take charge of the Union Territory after the abrogation of Article 370.
Soon after taking charge as the new Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir, former Union Minister Manoj Sinha said the powers of the Constitution will be used for the betterment of people and the development of Jammu and Kashmir.
जम्मू कश्मीर की जनता को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं, उनकी जो भी जेन्युइन ग्रीवांसेस होंगी उनको निश्चित रूप से सुना जाएगा और समुचित समाधान कैसे हो इसका रास्ता भी बनाने की हम कोशिश करेंगे.
Outlining his priorities, Sinha said the administration will initiate direct dialogue with the people to end the uncertainty in the region and the menace of terrorism. Sinha, who has a track record of carrying out developmental works, is a 3-time Lok Sabha MP. 61-year-old Sinha is the second LG of Jammu and Kashmir after it became a union territory last year. With both J&K and Ladakh coming directly under the centre, the Modi government unfolded an ambitious roadmap to usher in inclusive development and transparent governance in the entire region. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
At least 26 people were killed and several are feared buried in a landslide triggered by heavy rain in Idukki, Kerala. Elsewhere in the country, heavy rains in many states have displaced lakhs of people besides causing destruction in various places.
Amid non-stop rains, rescue workers in Idukki are trying to locate people missing in the landslide. The State Health Department has dispatched 15 ambulances to provide medical assistance to the victims. 26 people are reported killed in the incident. 51 people have lost their lives in rain-related incidents in Kerala this year. The Meteorological Department has sounded a red alert in Idukki, Malappuram, Kozhikode, Kannur and Wayanad districts. An orange alert has been sounded for other districts except Trivandrum and Kollam. Amid a flood-like situation, most of the rivers in the state are flowing above the danger mark. In Bihar, the flood situation remains serious with over 72 lakh people affected across 16 districts. 5 lakh people have been evacuated, 41 people have died in various incidents. Over 12,000 people are sheltering in relief camps. Heavy rains are predicted for the state over the next few days. Swollen rivers continue to threaten lives and property in several parts of Karnataka. While there has been respite from the downpour in some parts, rivers flowing above the danger mark have inundated low-lying areas in Malnad, coastal and interior Karnataka. Landslides have been reported in hilly areas of Kodagu and Chikmagaluru. Maharashtra will witness heavy rainfall for the next 7 days. Several low-lying areas are flooded in the state. Delhi is likely to witness moderate to heavy rains over the next 4 days, while heavy rainfall is predicted at isolated places in East and West UP, East Rajasthan, Haryana, North Punjab, Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh.
Bangladesh is constructing a monument in the memory of Indian soldiers martyred in the 1971 Liberation War against Pakistan.
The construction coincides with the 50th anniversary of the country's independence next year. The announcement was made by Liberation War Affairs Minister Muzammal Haq on Thursday when outgoing Indian High Commissioner Riva Ganguly Das paid him a farewell visit. While a National Martyrs Memorial exists in the capital city of Dhaka, paying homage to those who laid down their lives to liberate Bangladesh, a separate war memorial is being built that will be dedicated to Indian soldiers. Reports say that Bangladesh government has selected 3.5 acres of land at frontier Ashuganj at a district bordering Agartala for the same. The minister also recalled with gratitude the cooperation of the Indian government and its people during the Liberation War, to which outgoing Indian High Commissioner Das said Bangladesh and India were tested friends. She also expressed India's willingness to become a part of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Bangladesh's independence in 2021. The war in 1971 began after the sudden crackdown at midnight on 25th of March that year in erstwhile East Pakistan by Pakistani troops and ended on 16th of December as Pakistan conceded defeat and unconditionally surrendered to Dhaka to the Allied forces comprising Bengali freedom fighters and the Indian Army. Officially, 3 million people were killed during the 9-month-long war.
And with this, it's a wrap on this edition of News Tonight. Thank you so much for joining us.